Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Sisik. I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here with my friends Samantha, Karen, Sandy, Catherine, and Angel is joining us as right now. There she is. And we're going over the book Love, Life, God by Jarrad Hewett, and it's talking about the journey of creation. Here's the book. We are getting ready to start on chapter 2 called My Creation. But before that, I'll let everybody jump out and introduce themselves really quick, and then we'll get started.
Good morning. It's Catherine in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Hello, this is Angel in South Carolina.
Good morning, this is Karen Lohoff in Mesa, Arizona.
Good morning, Sandy Root in Miami Beach.
And Samantha is driving and paying attention to what she's doing, but she's here with us. If she gets a free moment or whatever and can stop, she'll pop in if she can. If not, she's just going to be basically listening. So um, let's get started. Chapter 2 starts about my creation. I'm just going to read the first little paragraph. It says, everything in your world is a form of energy. You view it as objects with perceivable motion. By this we mean that when most hear the word energy, they think of atoms and basic particles, when in fact it's more than what you would call solid matter that is energy. It is also what you think you cannot perceive, like thoughts, impulses, and recreations. Can you explain what you have been saying? Reactions are energy. So that's the first little bit. So if somebody's gone in or gone through this, um, and have some thoughts, go ahead and jump out as I kind of peruse and get my mind and thoughts on if I have anything to say.
Well, Jared actually has another book, I think, called Everything is Energy that, sums this up, but literally everything. So all of our thoughts, what they're saying about reactions is that when you react to something, you're not making a choice, you're just reacting from, past traumas or teachings or beliefs or whatever, but you're not actively making a choice in that moment to respond as opposed to react. And yet, every thought, everything, has a certain energy about it. So when you just respond like that, typically it's probably something negative or coming from a restricted place as opposed to an open-minded choice there.
That helped a little bit for me, but I think if I read over this next paragraph, I think it might help because he says, certainly think of it as a wave. A wave comes into your field, what we'll call your known presence for now, and it washes over you in a totally balanced energy field. Nothing is affected. However, where fear is present, this energy wave will ignite within the hosting field any and all shared fears. Thus, this wave is perceived by your energy as a foreign invader, the energetic equivalent of a bacterium being introduced into a healthy body. The immune cells go into attack mode to neutralize the perceived threat. So then your energetic body, which makes up your physical body, but also extends out from your physical body, physical body, may perceive itself as under attack. And um, in the book, the person that it looks like there's two of them conversing says maybe we're thinking about two different things. I was thinking about something like an allergic reaction, and that's kind of the best way I kind of can understand it and see it, I can say, oh well, I'm allergic to like avocados. My throat constricts, my body just, I can't breathe, I have a hard time, and my body reacts to it. But it's having as well as the effects on me personally, but it has a energy reaction because then I get fearful. I get, like, oh no, am I going to die? Or am I going to, are we going to have to take me to the hospital or something? Because the one time when we first found out, my throat almost, my throat almost fully closed up. I was having a hard time breathing. My mom was really beginning to get scared. We were at a restaurant. And so, but my whole body, the energy that was in my body too, was very, um, I guess best way I can say it is maybe sensationalized or on over, you know, let's get rid of this, let's get rid of this, let's, somehow get it out of my body, but it didn't know how because it was something that I used to be able to eat as a kid. I could eat it like crazy. I could eat all the avocado I wanted. I could eat guacamole and all that stuff. So it's kind of like it was a two-sided thing. My body was like, we've had this before. We know what it is, but why are we having this adverse effect? And I think maybe that's sometimes how we react. And going back to what you were saying, Catherine, the negative energy comes into our field, like he's talking about, and we're not sure how to process it. That's the best way I can think of it.
Well, this all reminds me of my work with acupuncture because, people ask me, how does acupuncture work? And it's not easy to explain in physical terms because we're working with energy, what we call chi. So, when you're trying to talk about energy, it's hard to talk sometimes to a layperson who's not familiar with that everything is energy. So acupuncture is working with the body as an energy being. So something like an allergy is an energy that is creating an imbalance in the energy in the body. So you're using the needles to, balance that energy. And anything that is an attack on the body is perceived as an energy. And then I think of this too because when I'm working with patients, I have to be conscious of my energy too and my thoughts and my intentions because that is part of the whole treatment. Like the room is just a bubble of different energies, and you're working on all forms, the thoughts that I'm having, the intention that I'm having as well, because that's part of the whole treatment. I mean, I don't even necessarily have to use the needles. It's just having someone walk in the room and feel better just by being there is energy. And I've had people say that, like, I just feel better walking in the room, before they even have the treatment. So that's why, because every single thing is energy. Our thoughts, our intentions, how we're thinking about the person in front of us. Like, I have to really be present and clear in my mind and not bring my shit in there because that's part of the whole experience too.
And that brings to another point in the book, and I'm going to throw this out in the form of a question. How many of you have gone to a party and walked into the party and gotten certain feelings? But you get a mixture of feelings. You get some good, some bad, some high energies, low energies. Well, a lot of times those are feelings that he's talking about in the book about, you look over and you see a good friend and they make you smile because of thoughts or feelings or the energy associated with them because you've had good times or shared good experiences, or somebody else you're really excited to see because they could be a really close friend, and whenever you're around their energy kind of picks you up. But then you look across the room and there's somebody and you just get this weird vibe or whatever about them. You don't really know them, but you get that weird vibe, you know. So I think we're all sensitive to those feelings and those vibes. We don't understand them, some of us, and we're just like, excuse me, we'll play it off as that gut feeling or that gut check or something, or but I know I've had it. I've walked into a room and like, whoa, okay, something's off here, and sometimes it's hard to bring the balance, because sometimes I think certain energies sometimes can overpower other energies, unless you understand them. And I think that goes back to what Sandy was saying of what she works with and helping get people back to their balanced energy. And I don't know, when you do that, do you help them understand their energy balance stuff better, or try and get them to better understand how their stuff affects others?
It depends on the person. Some people love to know the scientific aspect of acupuncture, like what is it doing in this way? Or, some people aren't open to the energy aspect. Like it still works, regardless of whether they're open to it. But over time, too, people start to have their own insights. Once I had one woman who, it was her first time getting acupuncture, and after a couple of treatments, she's like, that was so bizarre. When I came back in the room, she's like, I just realized that my mind and my body are talking to each other, and my mind hasn't been agreeing with my body, and they're fighting, but now they're back together again. And I'm like, amazing. So, people start to tune into themselves, and that's the best way, is that they're waking up inside of themselves, the energy that's going on, because, you can say it, but it's not, they have to experience it. And when they experience it, it's amazing. But yeah, if someone's open and I feel they're open, I can explain different things going on in their body energetically, because a lot of times, like a woman I had yesterday has a lot of wrist pain, and the channel it's on has to do with the small intestine. So it's about assimilation. And she's like, that makes so much sense, because she's moving now and she's having to assimilate what she doesn't need, even emotionally, like assimilating out what she needs to bring, what she needs to, so she's doing that, what's good for me, what's not, which the small intestine does, in the body, is assimilating the food and pulling out, where things need to go, the junk down here and the good stuff in here. So yeah, so it's, if someone's open, I definitely will help guide them to what may be going on in their life energetically. Yeah.
Interesting, because of what you were saying, and then a lot, even for me now, to hear you say things like that, and then based on from what Catherine said over the past, as long as I've known her, talking about energy work and stuff and things like that, it's interesting to understand that. For me, it's becoming more aware of the energy that I possess too, you know. And I do believe I have a lot of energy, and that it can affect me. And I think that's something else. And I think Catherine can help me on this. Our energies can really even affect us personally. We can be our own worst enemy to ourselves with our own energy, if I'm understanding that right. And maybe you can help me on that end.
Absolutely. Your energy, you are energy. It's not that you have energy, you are energy. And if you don't learn how to control your energy and clear your energy of other people's energies, then it can definitely affect you. And walking into a room and feeling disruptive energies or unbalanced energies, as an energetic being, you can collect those energies, and they can kind of attach to you. And that's why like the thing that I posted in our little private group with Jarrad's energy work, most energy work is centered around clearing energies off of you, because they attach. And whether that's because you're just surrounded by a lot of negativity, or I think that, we often hear you are like the 5 people you hang around the most or whatever. And that's usually presented in the aspect of, because of their habits and because of their physical this and their physical that. Personally, I think it's because of the energy that you surround yourself with.
A big part too is, really cultivating your energy field, whether it's meditation or, because then you will repel certain things. Like you won't end up walking into that room with the bad energy because your field just won't, you can't even feel that vibration. And so it won't even go there, it just leads you where your vibration is. And, that's an important part of energy work too, is having my energy field strong because, I can take other patients' stuff and I have, and I'm like, what? This isn't mine, So I've learned to really like clean my energy every day at the end of my day, even between patients, like just intentionally, like in seconds, like while I'm washing my hands, but I'm cleaning that energy. I know other practitioners who ended up getting sick, other acupuncture colleagues, because they just work, and weren't taking care of themselves, and they're piling on their patients' energies. And one, finally, he slowed down and he realized that. He's like, yeah, I can't work that much because I realized it's my patients, like I'm taking on all their stuff. And he wasn't meditating or clearing his field or having that intention. It can just be an intention of 1 second, like I'm cleaning, it's just the intention to have that, have your field protected. And it's so important. And now, especially, the world is cuckoo, so there's a lot of craziness going on, and it can attack you if you're not protecting yourself energetically.
That's interesting between what you two have just been talking about. It's because I think I'm even a little more open now to understanding some of the energies and stuff out there, because I've been feeling it too in some ways. Like when I've been Ubering and stuff, I'll be fine, but then I'll start Ubering, and then certain times and periods, all of a sudden I just get really, and I think it's partly because of the mood that comes into my car, and then once they get out, it's kind of like, okay, God, they're gone, and a lot of times I hear myself like, thank God they're gone, they're out of my car, they're just gone, thank you, you know, and I've actually sat there and said that, as I'm, you know, finishing up the ride and logging off. Catherine will understand what I'm finishing logging off and making sure everything looks right and stuff. But I've felt that, and going back to what you were saying, Catherine, about the 5 people that now it makes sense is how we're drawn to a certain type of people and how we like to be around them, because it does make sense because of their energy or certain things about them, and how you know we just get that feel good energy, I guess you could say. And then when you get around other types of people, it's like, but yet my my thing, and I think maybe this goes more back to you, Sandy, is I don't think enough people know or understand or how to either repel that energy or pull themselves out of that energy and things like that. And yet we'll see it on the outside. We'll say, why don't they just leave, or why don't they just cut off that relationship or whatever. I think that's one aspect of it. There's something that somehow either keeps them there, or they don't understand it, or we don't understand it, and it just kind of now boggles my mind on some of that now about, you know as I'm understanding it more myself now a little bit, how certain people, and now I understand why one particular friend, he's a good friend, but why I kind of backed off my friendship with him, because it was just like really toxic, because every time we would get around, he would always seem to be talking me down and saying everything, and I'm like, I'm not doing anything wrong, my life's fine. But when he would come around, that toxicity and everything he would say, I would almost be like, uh you know so now it makes sense, because seeing how I don't really interact with them except every once in a big stretch, that aspect has changed. So if anybody else has anything, please jump out and throw your thoughts in. I'm just because it's I'm understanding some things more and trying to get some things sorted out for me too.
I've been curious for a lot of years about a Reiki treatment I received one time when I was um, in a clinical depression. I mean, I'm sure the idea was to keep me from getting into that space, but I recognize then and recognize now I was, uh, way beyond probably anyone helping me energy wise, but I've been so curious as to why that didn't work for me. No more curiosity about that, I guess.
On the whole energy thing, oh, I'm sorry, Catherine. Personally, I've noticed a lot about it too. And being an empath, I'm slowly starting to figure out how to protect myself and how to do meditation and clear my own energies. And I'm starting to become more aware of how other people affect me as well, because I used to not really realize it, and I've been slowly kind of looking at it and really observing, because like when Tyler's at work all day and I'm at home with the kids, I'll create this nice energy within the house that I'm comfortable with and I like. And I'm like, all right, this is a great energy. The kids are loving it. I'm loving it. Everybody's in a good place. We're cool. Nobody's yelling and screaming at each other. We're good. We're awesome. And then Ty will come home after a super frustrating day. And it's like, as soon as he walks in the house, I can feel it, but it's like a slow creeping up on you. Like it slowly creeps up on you. And I'm slowly trying to really become aware of what is my emotion and what somebody else's emotion, because he'll bring in all this frustration and this anger, and about halfway through making dinner, I'm like, I just want to stab somebody, and they'll stop and be like, wait a second, why am I feeling this so mad and so frustrated? And I'll stop and be like, well, I was just like 10 minutes ago, we were just fine, everybody was just happy. I'm like, what the frick? And then I'll realize like, oh, it's because of Ty, because he comes home with all these frustrations and all these angers from working with all the people at the dealership and the service riders and everybody like that. And he gets in and out of other people's cars. So his energy field picks up on all these other energies as well too. And he's not quite yet aware as much as what I am. So whenever I tell him, I'm like, come on, you need to leave this stuff at the door when you come in the house, because it's just ruining the whole energy field that I've put up. I've worked so hard all day to get this where I need it to be, and he's slowly trying to work with it. But since he's not so much self-aware of the energy, it's hard for him too, so sometimes I got to come in and I got to help him. We have a little kind of a meditation thing that I like to do, and it's sort of like a kind of like a Reiki, but more of like a healing touch kind of thing. I'll just like run my hands over him. I'm like, all right, imagine all of the negative energy just leaving your body, and then 5 minutes later, it's like a whole different feeling. I'm like, this is what I want from you. So it's just, I'm also trying to learn how to check myself too. It's like, how do I need to learn how to stop my energy from picking up on that. Hang on, buddy. Hang on. So I'm still slowly learning, and it's still progress. I'm still trying to progress with it, because there's times where I'm just like, I don't understand why I'm mad. And then there's other times where I'm like, okay, I know why I'm mad. It's not me. So yeah, I just wanted to share my experience.
No, but oh, go ahead, Sandy.
What was I going to say? Well, part of it too, yeah, we can create our beautiful, happy energy field, and something will come in like that. And part of it is the reaction, like, we can react and get sucked into that, or we cannot react if we really like. It takes, it takes practice. I mean, driving, I'm like one of the road rage, like, but I have to like, okay, learn not to react, because why would I want to affect my happy, joyful bubble here? So, I think we also learn to cultivate over time how to not let those things affect us or react to it. We can observe it and say, okay, that person's there, or this is happening, whatever, I'm happy here in my little bubble. But yeah, it's work, it takes practice.
It's interesting, how you say you're learning how to. And for me, I guess for me, the way I tend to kind of let loose of things, and I've been doing this a little bit more. I have an app on my phone called Twitch, and there's a lot of different like DJs that go on there and do you know music and spinning and stuff and things like that. I found a couple I really like and I enjoy. So a lot of times, there's one that usually he starts about 4 o'clock every day. So I'll be finishing up my day out Ubering. So, but when I get home, I'll like turn him on and interact with all the people in there and chat and stuff. And it becomes it's fun. We have fun. And it's a good positive energy place, and that's what he's really trying to put out is good positive energy. And I love music, and that's how I tend to kind of create I guess my space, my area. Um, Even when I go to listen to certain songs and they put me in like a melancholy place, but it's for me, I think at that point in time, that's where I need to go for a little while to help kind of clear out those feelings and then get in. But a lot of times I just want something that's upbeat, kind of gets me and my energy. And every time I go and listen, it helps. I think it helps me kind of let loose of the day and let loose of the stuff. And I think is how I kind of cleanse myself, because some days I've come home and I'm just like and I'm just like this, because I during the day I'm just like, at the end of the day I'm like, Catherine, I just want to you know kill somebody, just get out of my way, just leave me alone, just stop acting the way you're acting, but a lot of times they don't know that they're being that way. And so, but when I listen to us, I think it's that, I guess it's that meditative state for me of where I kind of let go and I forget, and all of a sudden I'm back in that happy, good mood that I normally am in. And I'm learning that that's been a real way for me to let go of that the day stuff and things like that. And um and I love it because it keeps me way up here rather than down here. But yeah, I can't always um have that availability, but to have that to be able to come to, or have a way of coming into that, I'm finding is something I like and I need. I think kind of like what Sandy was saying, finding that way of learning how to um, uh, let go or clear it out or just get it out of here. And we have Lori who's joining us. Welcome, Lori. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Good morning.
And
I'm wondering if Samantha would like to come out and say anything. Maybe she can nod at us if she needs an unmute. I know she's driving and has some troubles muting and unmuting. So
Good morning.
good morning, Lori.
Looks like Samantha gave the 1 minute signal, so maybe in a minute or so.
so
Yeah, she's busy. The reason I bring it up, and maybe it's better if I bring it up instead of her too, since she's mom, but I know she has some savory advice on on what Angel was just talking about. And I'll bring it up just as a fellow empath. You know, there's a hilarious meme going around, and I'm going to cuss here, so you guys just deal with it. And it's like, quit fucking up my Zen. And it's so true, because like we can put ourselves in this very zenful place, you know, and then anybody, whether it's your husband after a stressful day, or the news, or the dog, or, you know, whatever it is, something comes in and like messes with our Zen. And it's very tempting to try to fix them, and you can't. You just have to fix yourself and how you react to them coming in and messing with your Zen, basically. Now, that's not to say that you know, if the person is open to it, that you can't teach them maybe a more effective way to deal with frustration or something like that, or, you know, how to clear their own energy before they come in the house or things like that. But yeah, and as a matter of fact, it's almost like a test. Like and there's even a movie about this. I wish I could remember the name of it. Maybe somebody else has seen the movie on here, but it's like this famous guy that is having conversations with God or whatever, and he gets promoted as this huge spiritual healer, and like behind the scenes, behind the social media and behind all the scenes, he's just like, stop fucking with my Zen, you know. He's just like, you know, he's a normal, regular human being like everybody is. You know, people get these ideas of how they think things are supposed to be, and then when things aren't that way, they get upset, and we see it in all aspects of our life, you know. So anyway, I'll hush now. Maybe Samantha's free to come out.
I keep thinking about an example here where it dawned on me, and it took probably a day or so, it dawned on me that I was reacting. I was assuming that somebody else was reacting. I was letting them know that they were reacting, and that you know, I couldn't deal with them if they were going to do that. We have one bathroom for 10 people, and 3 of them are men. And you can imagine how delightful that is. And many times when I'm in there, I can tell that someone is fooling with the handle of the door. And my rage grows as I think about who the heck needs to look at a closed door. You know, you could push against a closed door and you could tell that it was locked. You know, I go through these things in my mind. Why on earth would anybody need to do that? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, if I'm just drying my hands or something and I can get to the door, I will get to the door, unlock it, and whang it open and see who's in the hall, see who it is. And it's always the same man, you know. And I have jumped on him so many times about doing that. And one time I went out and I was making a lot of noise in the general area, and one of the caregivers started jumping on him and said, you don't need to you know, mess with the door if the door is closed. And then he gets into this framework where he was in both the Army and the Navy, so you can imagine his language. And he just goes off, and he starts wheeling his chair, and he, you know, goes back into his room, and he says, I'm going to pack up my stuff and I'm going to leave. And so I went about a day one of these times, and then I said, may I share something with you? You know, I can't talk with you. I can't have a conversation with you if you're going to be reacting that way. You know, it's just, and by then, you know, he was calmed down. He gets really sorry about that kind of behavior. And So he said several times to me, when you react, when you react, when you react. And I was thinking, when was I reacting? And then I thought about how I unlocked that door, swung the door open, hauled myself out into the hall, and, really carried on. And I thought, I wonder how much in my life I react and don't even think it's me.
Beautifully put.
I was going to say, I think we've all done that to at one point or time in our lives where we've just let whatever energy, whatever's going on, be the thing that pushes us to that level or something that we normally wouldn't go to if we were in our normal state or whatever. We would just like, oh, they're just being who they are and doing what they're doing. And in some cases, I've had to learn that with some people, and other people, I still react. And I'm still trying to understand why I still react. So that's something, but I was looking in the book a little bit more, and he was getting down into this point where talking about, some things that have been going on, and talks about being a job interview candidate and stuff. And then, but he gets to a point where um, he talks about self love. And I know Catherine talks about that a lot, and I think Sandy talks about that a lot. And in the aspect of self love, I think it's not the same time of self love that we're thinking on a level of like, oh, I love myself. Love who I am. But I think it's bigger and more than that. Can either of you help maybe express that a little better, or maybe help those who might see this understand that a little better?
Well,
Waiting. Come on out, Sandy.
I'm like, where to begin? Well, I don't remember what he says in the book exactly, but when you're loving yourself, it's like you want to. I don't know. It's like you're aware of how you want to feel. Like like you're aware of yourself. You're aware of what's good for you, and what energies you want around you. Like you want to protect your energy, and you want to be aware of the things that are good for you, and not letting the things that aren't good for you in. I mean, it's not always easy, but to, like you were talking about a friend, and I have a friend like that too, who there's somehow I get this like this weird feeling, like I tense up, and I react by being silent, I guess. I don't know, like I just close down. And so I'm looking at that, because I want to, for myself, I want to be around people who feel good. And for me, that's self-love, is, having good feeling around me, where I feel comfortable and I feel at ease with the people around me, the energies around me. And so for me, that's an aspect of self-love. But yeah, I'm having to look at this relationship, and why does it? Because I mean, she's in my life, and she's going to be in my life, I think, because I can't just. She's a close friend, so it's something that within me, I think that I need to work on. And so, I mean, for me, that's self-love, is doing the work inside of us, and cultivating those energies so that we're, aware and of what we're welcoming into our life and what's not working.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
we have a chance for Samantha to say something. It looks like she stopped now, so I don't know. Maybe she can jump out. if she has anything.
Yeah, every time I kind of had a moment where I could reach over and mute or unmute, yeah, then somebody else jumped in, and then or somebody was already talking, so it didn't work out. But yeah, I pulled over so I could just add to this just a little bit. Um, I'm glad that we kind of got on the topic of the reaction aspect of it, and then there, I think it was close to the end of the chapter where they were talking about the self-love aspect, and I think that the main point that he was trying to get across in that was that when because his whole thought process was, okay, when you start to react to something or you feel a reaction, is that you can stop it by changing your energy by simply saying the words, I am self-love. And when we think about what the phrase actually means, it's basically just kind of it is saying, if I am self-love, then I love myself. I love everything, because we've discovered that we are everything. We are God. That's what the premise of the book is. And so when we say I am self-love, it changes whatever reactionary feeling that we're having. So it changes our energy. And and so I think that's kind of the main point that they were trying to make with that. And of course, whenever something happens in our lives and we have like an immediate reaction, like Karen was talking about, when she was in the bathroom and having that immediate feeling of and when somebody's at the door, and then when Angel's talking about, when Ty comes into the house and she has that just immediate feeling of here he comes and he's got all that energy, and and then Sandy, I think you mentioned road rage at some point. We're driving down the road and someone cuts off in front of us, and that immediate reaction is that tensing up, or that feeling that we get, that uncomfortable feeling. And when we have that, that's when they're suggesting, okay, instead of allowing yourself to get drawn into that energy, whatever it happens to be, is just immediately stop and say, I am self-love. And you can kind of repeat that over and over again until you feel that kind of that tension release, that you can let go of it, because it just basically, it's like putting a stop sign in your reaction, and can help you move out of that energy that you feel like you're falling into, or that is bubbling up inside of you. It's just like just a stopping phrase. It's a way of changing your thoughts. So, okay, I got to go back to driving, guys.
Interesting what you brought out, because I think a lot of times we forget that we can have that ability and that, in the moment, to change our thoughts. Going back to a book we went through a long time ago, what to say to yourself when you talk to yourself, in those moments, taking it captive and looking at it and saying, no, I am self-love, or whatever works for you, to help stop that moment and clear out whatever that energy is. And I I guess it would be instantaneous then, if we're energy and stuff, and we can take that time and moment to, do that. I think we just aren't as cognitively aware of those things that we can do for ourselves to help keep ourselves from reacting. Because I think a lot of times we live our lives reacting to everything rather than being proactive, or trying to be ahead of the game and keep the energy balanced, to go back to, I think, a little bit of what Sandy was saying and what Catherine says, and to keep that balanced energy out even when we're out and about with people, and try and keep ourselves balanced. Because I know at the end of the day, you know, I'm weary and worn out, and I feel like some days I've just been in battle totally all day long, and you know, and all I want is just peace, quiet, nothing, time to, you know, zone out, I guess, best way for me, or, to get that equilibrium back to where I'm back to centered and back to me, and something I'll have to look at and think a little bit more about.
Yep. And I love the way that you put it, Karen, because you said, wait a minute, when did I react? From the beginning, like, and that's it. We tend to recognize behaviors in other people. That's why they say the world is a mirror. The world is always mirroring to you. And if you're seeing a reaction or a behavior in somebody else, there's something about that in you. I'm not saying it's totally you, because you could have somebody just completely bizarro in front of you at the time or whatever, but there's always a message there. And it is so important to look at, well, who is actually reacting here? Like, if I'm confronting you about something, then chances are I'm reacting as much as you are. And being self-love, I kind of wish he would just say, claim love, just claim love, because, and I have to do this a lot because I'm a very opinionated person. I strike opinions about things all the time. And then I have to go back and say, now, wait a minute, Catherine, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't think that, because there's energy. Like, I do recognize the energy behind my thoughts and my beliefs and my feelings. Now, I have to say, I've had some people have reactions. I put out a little negativity clearing video, just a very, very simple exercise. And I've had some reactions to that it's too simplistic, that it's not, entertaining enough or whatever. And I want to go back to what Sandy said. This is all about intention. And so all it takes is the intention to release a thought, a belief, or a negative situation. And that can be done instantaneously. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute session, bringing up every transgression that's ever happened to you in your whole life, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can just decide to throw that stop sign up, like Samantha said, throw it up and say, no, we're checking this right here. But you have to believe that you have the ability to do that. Like, you have to believe that that's going to work, or it's not going to work, right? So going back, Karen, to what you said about why didn't that Reiki treatment work? I have so many, I could do a whole session on just that. But I'll try to keep it short. First of all, who's to say it didn't work? Because you don't know what may have been had you not gotten that session. You also don't know what needs you had at that time that it worked on that you didn't even realize that you had. But I bring this up because there are so many energy workers, and I know, Angel, you're actively training in energy work, and I applaud you for that. And but this is a good foreshadowing. When people say that something doesn't work, that is a judgment based on they wanted this particular thing fixed. Well, what you want fixed and what God wants fixed, and I know there's like this, well, we are God. To me, we are God, but we are a fractal of God. And being a fractal of something is much different than being the whole thing. So personally, I pray for things and I wish for things and I try to manifest things that I quote want all the time. Only to be discouraged and upset and, that it didn't happen. And then 3 months later, be so freaking grateful that it didn't happen because something better happened. Or, and I have a really simple explanation of this that'll prove the point. I have this place in my back that is so excruciatingly painful that I literally cannot function at times because of it. And I have tried all these things to fix it, and I've been to these chiropractors and everything, and and they can't get that place to move. Well, come to find out, and I mean, I literally like slam myself against things to try to get this place in my back to move because it just drives me insane. Well, come to find out, a gene that I have that I thought hadn't expressed has expressed, and that has grown together. So if one of those chiropractors had actually put enough weight on it to get it to move, it would have broken. I would have broken my back. So we don't know what's going on. Like, stop being so reactive to things because, we always are throwing these judgment on things on how stuff isn't working out right. But that's because we have such a teeny tiny viewpoint of what's going on in the big picture.
I'm going to throw this out as hopefully to kind of get things to go to a wrap up because we're at the top of the hour right now. But based on what you're saying and how you said that we are a factual of God, kind of resonated with me in a sense. Because I do believe there's God, and all that out there and everything like that, and we don't know everything that's actually going on with that aspect. But going into, not knowing what we don't know, and sometimes, you know, that's the thing. A lot of what I do because I've been praying a lot about a lot of certain things going on around the COVID-19 stuff and things like that about how I'm looking at it and how I'm perceiving it, and yet we still don't know understand the full impact of why this was allowed to come into the presence of everybody, basically, so to speak. But there's something there and something more behind it. So me just wanting certain outcomes or something like that, as well as in things in life, you know, maybe praying what I'm praying is not really what is supposed to happen. And so therefore I'm blocking off, I'm maybe essentially blocking off even things for me that I'm not realizing that, and that sometimes, you know, it's, I guess it's okay to go back to say, okay, I don't have any control over this. And going back to what you and Sandy were saying, go back to what do I have control over? It's me and how I react and how I carry myself forward. And everybody else knows me about this, and I'm kind of I am still at this point. I refuse to let this virus dictate and control my life. I just refuse. It's not going to be something that, I'm going to allow that to have that on me. And I think it's playing good to my own self because it might be my way of helping my body protect myself too, and how. But it's just interesting how dichotomies and things, play out, and how if we do open ourselves more to, you know, understanding that, we all have that energy, and our energy, how we put it out, sometimes is also how we get it back, I think. And so I think with that, but that's my last little bit. If anybody else has any last final thoughts or anything, so we can see about wrapping this up.
When you were talking about praying for something and maybe that, it doesn't happen, something I don't remember where I heard recently is, praying for the feeling that thing that we want, rather than the specifics of what do we want, praying for the feeling that would bring, like whether it's freedom, joy, gratitude, and love, like just praying to have that feeling can open up, the things that you want, that God knows you want in a better way than we think we want. Just praying for that feeling and being in that feeling when you're praying can open up the things that you desire in a way that you don't even realize that you want them. So I've been trying that instead of, because I start to like think about, well, I want the house to look like this, and it has to have this, and the guy has to have that and that and that. But just, okay, what feeling would it bring? And then it'll just boom, 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 like God knows what we want. So just get in the feeling of it. So I thought that was a good way to try. And I just saw this. I know the next chapter I read ahead is about how thoughts become reality. And I just saw this photo that says, you spend most of your life inside your head. Make it a nice place to be. So, you know, we are in control of our thoughts, of our feeling, of our energies. So just to, remember that and cultivate it every day. That's something I do first thing when I pop out of bed. I don't know, Catherine, you may be familiar with the artist's way about the morning pages. So I started doing that this week. So I write my morning pages. So you're sort of just getting out the blah, 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 blah chatter. And then I do my meditation and I'm feeling the good feelings. And then it's such a great way to start the day because you got the gunk out, you got the good feelings in you. And then you start to attract the things that you want and the people and the energies that you want around you. So good to find a way. Like I love what you said, Dan, about music. I mean, that's a great way to cultivate your energy too. Just dance, have fun with your music, and anything that brings you joy, you know, is gonna bring in the energies you want in your life. Just doing the things that bring you joy. I think a lot of times, I notice it myself. You know, it's like work, and blah, blah. And then like just taking a moment to scribble a piece of art, even if for 5 minutes, it just changes the energy, like to do the things we love. And I think we get caught up in our society today with the hustle and forget to do the things that we love and that bring us joy, and they can really cultivate a good energy for us. Great chat.
I know we've slipped over the hour, but since you mentioned the Artist's Way, I have discovered a site called 750words.com that a man made around your morning pages, and he tells you how far you've written, and he shows a little graph, and he does pictures of how much of it was this emotion, that emotion, these words, that words. And it has really benefited me to be able to have all of that in one site. It's 750words.com.
Anybody else?
I was just going to say, I love what you said. Thank you for the site, Karen. I'll be sure to look that up. And I love what you said, Sandy, about praying with just for that feeling that you get. And I think that, you know, you have to, there are things that we can do that shift us, like music and meditation and just breathing. Just breathe, you know, just inhale for 8, exhale for 8. I like to inhale grace and exhale gratitude. You know, I do that when I get in a stressful place. Inhale grace, exhale gratitude. And I do a count of 8. Maybe you can only do a count of 3. It's okay, whatever you can do, but do things that shift you. And if you find that you can't shift, then that's just a message to yourself that those are energies that need to be expressed. And you can do that through, you know, chopping wood or art or dance. You know, maybe normally you put on really happy music and you do a jiggy dance, but maybe you need to express a lot of anger. Maybe you need to put on a different kind of music and you know, stomp dance or something, you know. But if you're having trouble shifting, it's because that's energy. You don't want to suppress energy is what I'm trying to get to, because then you wind up with a body like mine. My body, I feel like, is an expression of my inability to deal with the energies that I process. and not process and stuffed emotions and things, they turn into diseases. So these are, as energetic beings, we have to take our energetic cleanliness just as importantly as we do our physical cleanliness. And it is as easy when you're in your shower. It is just as easy as saying, you know, this water is cleansing me of all negative energy. Again, we're back to intention. So that's it. I'm out of here. Y'all have a great week. It's been a great talk. Love you.
Hey, I wanted to just jump out really quick before we're done. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I appreciate you bringing that up, Catherine, about the simplicity aspect of it, because we tend to, as humans, want it to be complicated, or we make it more complicated than it has to be. And I do this to myself all the time, you know, just like with the whole, who was it that mentioned, I think it was you, Catherine, also, that you mentioned that, you know, God's idea of what is supposed to happen is different than our own. And, you know, I've been working on trying to find a house forever, it seems like. It's only been like 9 months, but that seems like a long time. And I'm like, why isn't this working? Why have I tried to manifest? I'm this, I'm that. I've prayed about it. I've meditated on it. I've blah, 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 you know, and all those things. And then Sandy, you mentioned the you know, meditate on the feeling instead. And it reminds, gosh, I wish I could remember. It was probably Wayne Dyer that had said something along the lines of just making it simple. It's like because in his book, Getting in the Gap, he was like, get in the gap between breaths. There's nothing there. There's no thoughts. There's no anything. It doesn't have to be, oh, you know, this deep, long meditation of this whole visualization and all of the everything that goes with it, blah, blah, blah. It's like it's the space between the thoughts that you want to be in. And it's, I remembered that, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to make it so hard. Just like in this chapter where he's talked about, just simply say the statement, I am self-love. It's humans, we tend to want to complicate everything and make it so much harder than it has to be. And I don't know if it's just because it's a human thing, you know, that we just do that because the whole world is so freaking complicated, and we think that having peace in our life is so much more, it's complicated. We have to do all this stuff to make that happen. And when reality is, it's just like you were saying, Catherine, just, you know, have taken the moment to breathe in grace and exhale gratitude, and just have that feeling of gratitude, and just, you know, it's simple. It's much more simple than we make it. So that's all I wanted to add. Thanks, guys.
So with that, I'm gonna close things off for this week with my last little bit. For me, part of the things that help me find center and balance again, and um, is this group, this Saturday Morning Mastermind, where I've grown to love and care about you all very much, and I consider you very close friends. And whenever I get on here and do this, I always get done with that, you know, good, strong feeling of, you know, the love and the, you know, kinship and the energy that we all have. And I think it goes back to, you know, like Catherine said, you know, the energy around the five, you know, your five friends. Well, I have groups of different people, friends, and the energies all provide something for me, but this one provides me one with the uplifting and one that builds me up and gives me love. And that's why I love this group so much and why I'm still here all these years. So that's where I'm going to put my last bit in and wrap up. So with that, for the Saturday Morning Mastermind, um, you will see links below, the video and stuff on the YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. You can find us at Facebook at Mindset Mastery Collective, and you can get in there and join our group. And if you want to be a participant on here, you know, get a hold of one of us, and we'll get you plugged in to where you can jump on to be a panelist. Also, please like, share, make comments on our posts on Facebook as well as YouTube. We would love to hear from you. And with that, thanks for joining us and have a wonderful week. Bye.